Hello everyone, this is Super Saiyan 727 here. I just was getting all my knives out and looking at them, and I decided this would be a good opportunity to maybe make a collection video real quick and just show you guys the nicer pieces of my collection. I've got a bunch more cheap knives, but these are the only ones really worth showing, so I'm just going to go through them real quick and just kind of talk about them just for fun, and maybe just to jut your interest a little bit. If you're interested in looking at a knife, there's a pretty good variety here. So obviously I have them in order from overall length, smallest to largest, so we'll just kind of work our way from the small ones and work our way up. So first we see here, this is a Spyderco Dragonfly, the salt version. It's in an H1 steel. It's a couple inches on the blade, about 2 1/4 I believe. Really nice knife. This is probably my favorite little knife. I take this to classes and to church and stuff, just as a smaller knife. People aren't going to get too freaked out by this, especially with the yellow color. The H1 steel has a pretty high nitrogen content in it, so it is completely rust resistant, which is really cool. So I also take this with me when I go swimming or to a lake or something. And as you see here, I have another Dragonfly model. I liked that H1 Dragonfly so much that I ended up buying this one just as a collectible. It's the Dragonfly stainless steel tattoo. And it's got a really nice etched design. My camera really doesn't do it justice, and the lighting in here is not that great either. But if you get a chance, check this out, maybe a little bit nicer, on a nicer recording, and this thing is really cool. Obviously I don't carry it, it's just kind of a collectible. So once I get a nicer desk, I'll probably display it or something. This next one here is special. It was actually my very first knife. This is a Victorinox Recruit. It's pretty standard. You can get it still at Target or Walmart for about $10 or so, but my dad bought this for me. We went on a camping trip when I was probably about 7 years old, and I really love this knife. It's got your basic features: can opener, bottle opener with their respective screwdrivers, the blade, which I have deployed here, and then it's got a smaller blade on the back, and then it's got your spot for your tweezers and your toothpick as well. So great knife, absolutely love this. Don't carry it very much anymore, but I still have it definitely as part of my collection. And I have, again, another one of my really early knives. This is a Kershaw Scallion. This particular model, let's see if I can see the number on here. It's the HG model, the hollow ground, and it's got the Kershaw logo displayed on the handle. This is one of my very first name brand knives that I ever bought myself. I bought this at Walmart. Good little 2-inch knife. I still carry it from time to time, but like I said, most of the time the Dragonfly is kind of my small knife of choice. But it's got the flipper design, which is still good after several years of owning it. So just a really good overall knife design. Like I said, I still carry it every once in a while just for fun. My first Benchmade was the mini Griptilian, the 5.56 model. I'm a college student, don't have a whole lot of money. This is definitely the most affordable Benchmade on the market right now. You can get one of these for about $60, which is still, for a small knife, about, I believe it's about a 2 3/4, close to a 3-inch. I think it's actually 2.9-inch blade on this thing, so not an incredibly big knife. This one did sell me on the Axis lock. I saw a lot of reviews and people were just raving all the time about an Axis lock, and it kind of got me irritated because I figured that people were just jumping on, you know, the bandwagon of one of the nicer companies, Benchmade, and we're just kind of like how people are with Glocks too. I don't have anything against Glocks, but there's definitely a lot of people that are into them, and it seems like they don't really know what they're talking about. Well, I was proven wrong with the Benchmade. This Axis lock is incredible. Just really good action on the knife. It provides the retention. It's really hard to shake out. I mean, you can do it if you really tried. It gives you a lot of different opening systems. You can hold it and flick it out like I did. So this was my first Benchmade. I don't have a lot of Benchmades, but this one's definitely a good one. I used to take this one to work a lot. Very good work knife, 154 cm steel, very reliable. This one right here is a K-Bar Becker collaboration. This is the BK14 model. I believe it's called the Eskabar. This is kind of my project knife right now. I've been wanting a small fixed blade that I can carry around kind of for tactical purposes. I haven't really done anything with it yet. I bought some paracord and wrapped this handle myself. I have found a guy online who makes some custom micarta handles for the BK14, so I'm probably going to get those pretty soon. Also, this blade coating, you can kind of see the texturing in the light. It's horrible. It's very coarse. It makes the blade drag a lot whenever you're doing slicing cuts. I don't like it. I know a lot of guys have removed it. I'm planning on removing it as well. Other things I'm planning on doing is possibly getting it Duracoated. That way I will have a little bit of rust resistance. and wear resistance on this knife after I move the coating. I'm also planning on putting some jimping here. I've seen a lot of guys on the spine of the knife, they'll take like a triangular file and make their own jimping. So I think I'm going to try that as well. So this is going to be kind of my project knife, just a little bit of fun for me, just getting into modifying knives. And it's very inexpensive, about $40 for this pretty high quality fixed blade knife. This is one of my earlier knives as well. This is a CRKT Horus. It's out of production now. It's kind of a goofy design, not very practical. I think it's pretty. It's a nice looking knife there. You can see the inlays. They're supposed to be, you know, different, unique to every knife. But it's not a very practical design. Very wide, as you can see. A little on the heavy side. It does have the LOX, L-A-W-K-S feature, which keeps that liner lock. And again, I'm sorry about my lighting. It's not very good, but it keeps the liner from going in. So it's kind of a secondary lock system. But you can see kind of a funky tanto shape to the blade. Not very practical, but one of my earlier knives, it is a little bit nostalgic for me, so I haven't gotten rid of it yet. Probably never will. This is Spyderco Delica 4, Foliage Green. This was actually my first Spyderco. Again, if I were going to buy a Spyderco at this point, I probably wouldn't go for this model. It's not the best one they have, but I mean, again, it's a Delica. When I say that, I mean, there's better Delicas out there. I really like the flat ground. And this one's obviously a saber ground, so the grinding only goes about halfway up. Also, the combo edge, I don't really care for. I do really like the handle color. That was my biggest decision. I really like the foliage green. I'm kind of a sucker for green-handled knives. That being said, this is still an excellent knife. Really got me on a Spyderco kick, as you can see a little bit. Definitely with the Dragonfly, and I've got a few more down the line as well. One of my favorites, nicer knives, this is the original CRKT Ripple. It's not the first production. It's got a little bit different design on it, on the kin onion there. But this is still really nice. This is the blue stainless steel version. It's got the IKBS ball bearing system on the pivot, so it's a real smooth flipper, as you can see. Really nice design on the handle. I get a lot of compliments on this knife from non-knife people. They think it's just really sleek looking. I kind of use this as my dress knife. I take it to church a lot. I don't put it through a whole lot of hard use, but it also is one of my sharpest knives. This one came really sharp out of the box. And like I said, I haven't used it a whole lot, so it's still really, really sharp. This knife's kind of special to me as well. This is a buck. I don't actually know the model number. Let me take a look and see if I can't. No, I can't even find it. I looked it up at one point. Very cool, unique design here, and this is a NRA version. And my fiance's grandpa bought this for me for Christmas. He's not a real hardcore knife guy, but this was still just a really cool gift, very thoughtful for him to buy this for me. And he just passed away very recently after he gave me this knife. So this knife's very special to me. I don't really use it a whole lot, but it's definitely a big part of my collection, even though it's not necessarily an incredibly expensive one. Probably my least favorite knife out here is Spyderco Tenacious. I know a lot of guys go crazy over these because they're so cheap, but I really think they're just that. They're really cheap. I don't like this knife at all. I use it for work sometimes. You can see it's got some paint on it, on the handle there, the white. But if you look really close, and I think again with the quality of my camera, well, you can kind of pick it up. It's rusting a little bit, and that's kind of my fault again. I could see people in the comments saying, oh, of course you're not taking care of the blade. And that's true, but it's also because I really just don't care. I don't really care for this 8CR13 MOV steel. I don't think it's very good quality. The edge retention's fine, but the rust resistance is pretty poor. You really have to keep up with it, and I just get kind of spoiled with VG10 steels, something like that on the Delica down here, which you really don't require hardly any maintenance at all. But I also have some issues with the, you can't really hear it, but you kind of feel it when you open it. There's just some grinding in the pivot. So I don't know what is the deal with this knife. Maybe I just got a dud. A lot of guys like him. I don't really care for him. This is a Victorinox something or other. I should have been a little more prepared when I made this video, but I kind of just made it on a whim. But it is one of the locking models. So it's got liner locks. This one's kind of backwards from your conventional one. So I'll go ahead and close it here. And it's got actually two one-handed opening ones. And really the reason why I bought this knife is it has like a serrated blunt tip safety cutter here. And I am an EMT, so I use this one. I carried it with me. I bought a pouch, which I don't have on me right now.
to carry it on my belt, and this was kind of my work knife. And just in case I ever had to do an extraction, which thankfully I never had to do personally, I could use this to get somebody out of a seatbelt if, God forbid, they were trapped inside one. Also has several other features. I won't really go through those. You can look this up, and I might annotate it as well in the video. This one's kind of unique. You probably haven't seen it before. This is actually a custom-made knife by a Spanish company. What's the name?
JJ Martinez. So they have some production knives and they also have some customs. And this one's probably my favorite knife out of all the ones you see here.
My fiance, was my girlfriend at the time, studied abroad in Spain, and she gave this to me as our 1-year anniversary gift. Very nice. I don't even want to know how much she paid for it. But this, again, is really, really fine
custom craftsmanship. It's got a really interesting lock on the back. I won't go through how that works because it's kind of a pain in the butt. But just, again, I would never carry or use this knife. This is built for decoration only, and it's
just a beautifully crafted knife. And it's obviously, for obvious reasons, means a lot to me.
Getting into my Blur mini collection here, I'm going to scoot down just a little bit as we get into some of the larger knives. I have 4 Kershaw Blurs here, as you can see. 3 of them are limited edition, so I'm pretty proud of this collection so far. As you can see, as I've kind of gone down through these knives, I kind of have one for every kind of function. You know, I've got, one for EMS, I've got kind of a dressier one, I've got kind of my project tactical, and I've got my smaller ones that I use for school and stuff. So the Blur is good because I've kind of run out of needs for a knife. So I like the Blur because it's an incredibly collectible knife. There's so many different types out there. Again, there's Blur collections that are as big as my entire collection here. So I'm just starting to work on this now that I've kind of gotten a knife for every roll. So here's a few of the noteworthy Blurs that I have in my collection. This is my best one, obviously, and this was actually my first Blur. It was given to me as a graduation gift from a guy at my church. Very cool knife. It's got the brown handle. Again, the lighting is poor. I apologize for that. It's kind of hard to see that it's brown. It almost has a purplish hue right now. But what's incredible about this knife is this was a limited edition that they came out with, and it's got a composite blade. Kershaw has several of those, and you can see where the blade is divided toward the edge. And they've got a bunch of those where they'll use a stronger tensile strength steel for the spine part, so this half, and then on the edge half right here, they'll use a blade of steel that can really keep good edge retention. So this is just a limited run they did for the Blur. It's a D2 steel, so again, very high tensile strength on the spine, and then the edge is actually ZDP 189, which a lot of people know is really, really high quality, hard steel, holds an edge for a long time. Kind of hard to sharpen. I usually have to take this one to get professionally done. I'm not incredible at sharpening my own knives, but this is definitely a really cool one. I won't go into a whole lot of detail. This is just the Desert Tan Blur with the Sandvik 14C 28N steel. Just, a variation. This is another limited production. I kind of have some issues when I carry the Blurs, which I don't do very often. They're more collectible for me. But when I do, the Track Tech material, which is these textured rubber inserts, sometimes they tear up my pockets. I know they don't, the clip doesn't directly ride on this, but still sometimes on the fringe here, it'll tear up the pockets in my pants sometimes, just depending on how durable my pants are. Anyway, so I got this one, so it's a little more carry friendly. Doesn't have the Track Tech inserts, it's got the spider look anyway. This was basically, they had, I guess, some leftover designs for the Orange County Choppers limited edition one that they did. And obviously you can see where the spider was supposed to be crawling down, and they had the bike where the Kershaw logo was, the Orange County Choppers logo. So they kind of redid some of these, they re-released them. There's a green one, which I have obviously, and they released a purple one as well, which I really wish I would have picked up, but didn't get a chance to. And this has a CPM 154 steel DLC coated blade. And this is my most recent acquisition. This just came out this year. This is the smoke green version with the, I believe it's called BDZ1 Carpenter steel. It's a Tanto black blade, and again, you can see it's got the green smoke inlays, which I think is just ridiculously cool. On this side, you can see it a lot better. There wasn't, again, it's kind of like with my CRKT down here. Each knife is unique as far as the amount of green smoke that it has. So on this side you can't really see it a whole lot unless you get the light right, but on this side really there's a lot of smoke presence, so that's very cool, and I'm really digging this one. There's the concept of Frankenblurs, where you take the blade of one blur and put it on the handle of another. I'm thinking about putting this really cool composite blade on this really cool handle of this blur, and if I do that I'll try to post another video where you can check it out. Next up is my Benchmade 940. This is just a superb knife. This one probably gets the most pocket time, with the exception of maybe my Dragonfly over here. I carry this one all the time. It's kind of my standard big knife. So the Dragonfly, kind of my standard small knife. This one's kind of my standard big knife. I wanted this one for a long time before I ended up getting it. I didn't want to spend $140 on a knife, which is about what this one's going to run you. This is just the standard 940 satin finished S30V steel blade, and then the anodized aluminum. Got a really cool purple backspacer there. A lot of aesthetic appeal with that one. The knife is a Osborn design. It's actually the name of it too. And with the green and purple motif, it kind of reminds me of the Green Goblin, which ironically Norman Osborn's last name is Osborn, same guy as the designer. So I kind of nicknamed this knife the Green Goblin. I thought that was pretty clever. Again, the axis lock is really what makes this knife. Makes it have this really smooth deployment for a manual knife. Good lock, good retention, and like I said, this lock is very strong. And I typically hold the knife like this so the lock's out of the way of any of your fingers as well. This is kind of the knife to end all knives for me. Once I got this, I really didn't see any value in buying a whole lot of others, so that's kind of where I started going in the blur direction, just started getting them for collectability as well. So just an absolutely fantastic knife. Probably one of my favorites in the collection, with the exception of maybe this one. Got my purple Endura. This is the full flat ground. I mentioned I didn't really care for the full flat ground on the Delica. This one does have it, and there's just a noticeable difference with it. You know, I like this knife, but it doesn't find its way into my pocket very much anymore. When I first got it, I was all over it. I wore it all the time. It was kind of my standard one. I wear a lot of purple, so that's always kind of cool that I was able to get the purple version of this knife. A few people make fun of me. You have a purple knife? I don't care. I think it looks awesome. Mace Windu has a purple lightsaber, so y'all naysayers can deal with it. It's a good knife. That being said, really good grip. I'm not saying anything that hasn't already been said. This is one of the most popular knives out there. But with the bidirectional texturing on the handle, really just gets good grip if you hold it kind of in a modified saber grip right here, and then if you go with your normal saber grip, you got the good jimping on the spine here as well. And then again, the VG10 steel is just fantastic. This knife's a little bit too big for its build. The back lock is not, I haven't had any issues with it, but it's not known for being one of the stronger lockup systems. For a knife of its size, I like kind of the Osborn with the axis lock, which I have a little more faith in. Getting into some of my larger fixed blades here, I've got the CRKT Ultima. I will confess that I have never used this knife. I bought it strictly because I thought that the handle scales, which are Zytel, and they're textured to whisk water away from the handle, which, you know, that might just be kind of a load of baloney, but either way, it looks really cool. It's got the VEF serrations, which CRKT, they really push that. They really are supposed to organically cut into everything. And kind of a Tanto kind of blade here. It's got the extended tang at the bottom, so you can use it to pry. The idea is just to save the tip of the knife. A lot of people use these kind of survival knives to, you know, pry stuff. So the idea is to save your tip. Just use this. It comes in a pretty horrible sheath. I really don't care for it. It's a big strap on the leg sheath. Not very useful. The only time I ever used this is when I went to Comic-Con and I did a Punisher cosplay. They allowed us, I went to Indianapolis Comic-Con, you could bring knives as long as they were sheathed. So I strapped this bad boy to my leg to look like the Punisher, which was kind of funny. And then down here I've got just a couple K-bars. This is the more classic one with the leather handle. This one was given to me. The blade finish is getting a little sketchy there, but this is a pretty old K-bar, the USMC, as you can kind of see on the side. Very cool. Kind of got me into K-bars as a big knife. I still really love them. You get so much knife for the money. Just a giant hulk of a survival / combat knife. And you can get these for around $50-60 bucks. And then I wanted a more modern one that I could take outside. I went on a trip out to Montana, out west into some mountains. I wanted kind of a bigger survival knife. I didn't use it that much, as you can kind of tell. There's a few scratches and stuff on it, on the painted over finish on the blade. But this one's the foliage green version. As I said, I'm kind of a sucker for green handled knives, which they appear kind of sporadically throughout the collection. But it's got the Creighton, which is just a rubber handle. I really like it. It's got a lot better grip, and it obviously does a lot better in water than the leather does. Other than that, it's pretty similar to this one here. It's got, this one has a leather sheath to kind of go with the leather handles. This one's got a Zytel sheath. I like it a little bit better, but I still don't love it. Eventually I'll get a custom one made for it, but not anytime in the near future. So, there you have it. I'll zoom back in, see if we can get, or zoom back out. Can't really get the whole thing in one shot, but there's my entire collection. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or anything about where you can find any of these knives or anything like that, please post in the comments section. Otherwise, thank you for watching.